It is now 3:30 p.m., Wednesday, January 29th. We will hold for a moment while people join this Zoom meeting.
Buenas tardes, ya son las 3:30 de la tarde de hoy, 29 de enero del 2025. Vamos a esperar unos momentos más para que otras personas nos puedan acompañar. Gracias. This is the interpreter. I will be providing instructions on how to access the simultaneous interpreting feature. Since people may be participating in both Spanish and English, if you need language assistance, please follow the instructions now so that you are ready. I will provide the instructions in Spanish first and then repeat in English. Muy buenas tardes. Para hacer uso del servicio de interpretación, por favor desplácese a la parte inferior de la pantalla de Zoom, donde aparecen los controles. Haga clic en el icono de interpretación, que es el globo terráqueo, y seleccione Spanish, español. Si está utilizando la aplicación móvil de Zoom en celular o tableta, presione los puntos suspensivos, luego Interpretation y luego el idioma. Para no escuchar el audio original, al fondo, haga clic en Mute Original Audio y estará listo. Gracias. To use the Zoom interpreting feature, please scroll to the bottom of the screen where the meeting controls are located. Click on the interpretation icon, the world, and select your language. If you are joining using the Zoom mobile app on a cell phone or tablet, please press the ellipsis, then interpretation, and then choose your language. If you do not want to hear the original audio in the background, please click on Mute Original Audio. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and welcome to our public work group on professional landscape service equipment in the Clean Off-Road Equipment Incentive Project, commonly referred to as CORE. The purpose of this work group is to discuss the reopening of available funds for zero-emission professional landscape equipment. I am Dr. A.J. Edwards, an Air Resources Engineer here at the California Air Resources Board, commonly referred to as CARB. Again, I'm AJ, and I am joined by some of my CARB colleagues. Jessica?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jessica Monterosa. I am an air pollution specialist here at CARB, and my work is focused in heavy-duty off-road incentive programs. I'll be the main point of contact for eligibility and application questions. If any questions come up during the meeting, they will be going to the core email, and I'll drop the link in the chat below.
Hi all, Nicole Hutchinson. I'm new to the core team and I'll be the off-road policy specialist.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Young Trin. I'm the manager overseeing the core incentive project and in today's the professional landscaping equipment project. Looking forward to have a good session and hearing your comments and questions. I'll kick it back over to, AJ and then AJ to Jacob.
Go ahead and introduce yourself, Jacob.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jacob Whitson. I'm the director here at CalStart. We're the program administrator, and we oversee the implementation of the core project. I'll throw it over to Lauren.
Good afternoon. My name is Lauren Huff, and I'm a lead project manager at CalStart. We're the project administrators for the professional landscaping core project. I'll pass it off to Amanda.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda. I'm a project manager at CalStart. Along with my colleagues here, I also administer the project.
Okay, thank you, everybody. I will be presenting to you now several slides on the reopening of voucher requests for professional landscape equipment. After which, Jacob will help with any questions or comments from the audience. If you have any questions or comments during this presentation, you can email them to core, C-O-R-E, at arb.ca.gov. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded. We anticipate that a copy of the recording and a list of participants will be available on the Low Carbon Transportation Investments and Air Quality Improvement Program Meetings and Workshops webpage in approximately 2 weeks. If there are Zoom disruptions for any reason, including malicious intent, we will end today's meeting and send out another notice to reschedule. As always, we appreciate your patience if we run into any technical glitches. Okay, now for the presentation. This presentation will be in 4 parts. I will first give a brief overview of the core professional landscape equipment project. Then I will go over our process improvements in the implementation of this project. I will then show where those interested in participating in the project can learn how to do so. And last, I will give our timeline to reopening the remaining funds to voucher requests. The core professional landscape equipment project provides monetary vouchers to approved equipment dealers selling core approved zero-emission professional landscape equipment. In 2021, California appropriated $30 million for this project. The core equipment buyers must be professional landscaping small businesses or sole proprietorships based in California, using the equipment 100% of the time in California. In September of 2022, voucher requests from approved dealers started being processed on a first-come, first-served basis. These monetary vouchers reduce the point of sale prices for equipment buyers by their specified dollar amounts. In October of 2023, the voucher request system was closed because all available funds had been assigned to issued vouchers. Since that time, about $6.7 million in vouchers have expired unredeemed. We plan on reopening the voucher request system with some process improvements in late March of this year to distribute all remaining funds. Based on the 2022 launch of the voucher request system, we have developed process improvements to this project that I will now go over. These changes are meant to improve the speed and processes by which we get money into the hands of dealers and incentivized equipment into the hands of professional landscapers. Manufacturers previously issued core eligibility by CARB can update their eligible equipment with a truncated application. This will ease the burden on manufacturers that have already provided substantial equipment information to CORE. We will remove the per purchaser funding cap. This cap did not come into effect previously, but we will still reserve the right to limit the voucher amount toward any one purchaser. Issued vouchers will now be valid for 60 calendar days. This will increase the rate which we can reallocate funds from unused vouchers on a rolling basis. 91% of equipment buyers were micro businesses, and they were not crowded out by larger businesses. The micro business funding set aside has been made redundant for this reason. Purchase orders must be signed no more than 30 days prior to the voucher submittal date. Again, this will increase the rate of vouchers through the system. There will no longer be partial voucher redemptions. All equipment in a voucher must be redeemed at the same time within 60 days of the voucher issuance. This will help streamline the voucher processing. Funds that were reserved from expired vouchers will immediately be made available to other voucher requests on a first-come, first-served basis. Manufacturers wishing to have their equipment listed in the CORE catalog must submit a professional landscape service equipment eligibility application to CORE, C-O-R-E, at arb.ca.gov. This application can be found at californiacore.org, /how to participate professional landscape, the number 2, with dashes in between each of those words, and a / at the end. Dealers wishing to sell CORE incentivized equipment must also apply through this same webpage. Buyers wishing to purchase incentivized equipment can find CORE approved dealers listed at californiacore.org /dealer list /. So this is the end of January, and we are soliciting public feedback on our reopening of the professional landscape voucher request system in this workshop. we have begun accepting applications from dealers and manufacturers to participate in the reopened project. Manufacturer applications submitted by February 18th will be reviewed for approval before the reopening. Dealer applications submitted by March 4th will be reviewed for approval before the reopening. By the end of February, we will have considered feedback from today's work group, published an amended implementation manual, and updated the core professional landscape website. We then plan to reopen the core professional landscape voucher request system by the end of March. This concludes my presentation.
Okay,
We will,
thanks, AJ.
yeah.
So we'll now open the floor for questions and comments. We will start with questions that we have received via email. Then we'll go to any live questions in Zoom. I see a few raised hands. And then participants may also submit their comments or questions in the Zoom Q&A feature. Monitors will review and respond accordingly. So just some logistics on the Zoom feature to ask a question or make a comment. If you're using the Zoom desktop, click raise hand under the participants tab. If you're using the Zoom mobile or on your mobile device, tap raise hand under the more tab. And if you're calling in by phone, press *2 to raise your hand. And as mentioned, you may also email questions to pour@arb.ca.gov. And let's see here. As mentioned earlier, please include your name and affiliation, if any, with your question, and note that our email monitor will notify us of your question in real time. Okay, so I will turn it over to Jessica for the emailed questions that we received so far. We can do a couple of those.
Sure. Right now, we've only received one question via email that's coming in from Karina Garcia from Oso Electric. And her question was, what is the process to add an affiliate manufacturer to an already approved core dealership? The answer to that is that any equipment dealer affiliated with a core eligible manufacturer can become an approved core dealer. Manufacturers can also fill the role of a dealer for their own equipment. In order to do that, you can find more information in the visit the California Core website, which I'll link below, and follow the steps for dealer participation. Manufacturer authorization is required, and there are instructions on what is needed from the dealer participation section. Manufacturers can then instruct their affiliate dealers to visit the core website as well. So I'll link that core website below. And we are done with email questions for now, so we can move on to raised hands or the Q&A portion.
Great. Thanks, Jessica. So the first hand I see is Cesar Ayala. I am unmuting you. Please unmute yourself, and then please state your name and affiliation and your question or comment. Cesar, are you still there? Cesar Ayala, Okay, we can. Are you able to unmute? Okay, we can come back to you. The next person I have is Emily Chamberlain. Emily, I've unmuted or I've enabled your speaking feature. Please unmute your microphone, state your name and affiliation.
Hi, my name is Emily Chamberlain, and I am a dealer in the Bay Area. My question is, in the initial presentation, it did say that there was a removal of the cap. And so before it was a $25,000 cap for that the state would authorize for the customer. And then it said it was removed, but I was a little confused with the language. Is it removed? So is there an unlimited amount per customer now?
Hey, Emily, good to hear from you. So generally, no, there is no cap. We're removing that $25,000 cap. What we found last cycle is that it really never came into play too often. Now that could have been kind of set that way because there was the cap. But if we see one purchaser come in and request, hundreds of thousands of dollars, we might have some questions. And CARB reserves the right to, put a cap on any individual purchaser, but right now there is no cap. So that $25,000 cap's been removed.
Got it. And then do we know yet? Thank you for the answer, Jacob. I remember speaking with you when we did this originally, this program. The other question I have is the base voucher amount. Are those same dollar amounts going to come into play?
Yeah, what is in the current public IM, we are not looking to propose a change to the base voucher amount.
Okay, so it'll be 70% or up to a certain dollar amount, depending on the type of tool that there is.
Correct.
Okay. Last question I have is I do have 2 dealerships now. I'm going to be filing the core vouchers for both. Do I need to sign up each individual dealer, or how does that work?
So you will need a dealer that is based at each of those locations to submit vouchers.
Okay. So I can't travel to that location and submit the voucher on their behalf?
Possibly. It does complicate things a little bit just because of the way the VPC is set up for just like your dealer account. You can't have multiple accounts.
Okay.
So you would have to have, we could talk offline. There might be a way.
Okay.
But or we can work with you on getting some of your staff signed up.
Great. Thank you, Jacob.
Okay, thanks so much, Emily.
Need to take myself off mute. Then we received an email, but I will do 2 more live questions and then we'll go to the email questions. So the next person is, and I apologize if I'm saying this wrong, Carson Seitman? Saitman. Apologies, Carson. Please state your affiliation.
So my name is Carson Saitman. I work with World Lawn Power Equipment. I am the West Coast rep for California. So my question is we just launched a couple of units, one being a 52-inch ZTR, and in April we're going to be launching a 32-inch stand-on. And what I'm wondering is what stipulations or criteria do we have to meet as a company? Because this is our first go-round. We kind of were in California before this all came about, selling gas, and then we were gone for about 6 years.
So for equipment eligibility, since you were not a manufacturer that was eligible within the first round, you'll need to submit the full application, which you can find in attachment D of the implementation manual. If you want to go ahead and email us, we can get you a copy, or it's definitely on our website, and the links have, I think, been provided in the presentation here to that. So your equipment would need to be vetted by Jessica. She's the lead at CARB that oversees equipment eligibility. And then, if your equipment's deemed eligible, then, you could, put your equipment through the voucher program, get your dealer signed up. There might be some nuances there depending on your dealer network and how you're selling it. There's requirements there on the dealer side, to have a physical presence within California for maintenance and repair and warranty work potentially. So after you review the attachment and the application for equipment eligibility, if you still have further questions, then definitely reach out to CARB. Jessica is the staff there that oversees and leads that.
Is there a certain amount of dealers that we have to be with? So we already have, I would say, about a good 20 dealers that are still authorized dealers of ours. We just haven't had any product for them to sell besides parts on our older units
Yeah.
until now.
Yeah, no, there's no like threshold of you have to have 5 dealers or 10 or, we want to make sure that equipment that's being sold in California, that the consumer, those purchasers have access to, steady and quick repairs if there are issues. Considering, obviously the stakeholders this money is targeted for are landscaping small businesses, and if they have equipment down, it means they're not doing what they need to do to bring in an income. So we definitely want to make sure that the consumers on the other end of these vouchers have access to service and repair. So having brick and mortar facilities or access to warranty repair is a really important part of the program. And you can see the requirements of that in the IM. It talks about what we consider a dealership and things like that.
And then is there a price point limit on these units? Because our units are relatively competitively priced as is compared to some of the bigger name brands. So is there like a limit on how expensive they have to be, or is there no?
I mean, so the way that the vouchers work is we have caps per equipment type. So you said a ride-on mower was one of yours, right?
Yes, so it's a sit down zero turn.
Okay, yeah. So for those, I think our cap, which most of them just hit the cap because 70% of the MSRP is usually much higher than our cap. The cap for those, I believe, is 12,500. So the most we would pay if 70% is more than that would be 12,500. If 70% is lower than that, then we would pay the lower amount, obviously. But most of the time, those are a little pricier. So we reach our cap of 12,500 for that equipment type. And then for like string trimmer, for example, the cap is, I think, $300. So it's 70% of MSRP or $300. And when you work with CARB and Jessica, when you get your eligibility letter, like you'll know exactly what we're going to pay for each voucher. It's very regimented. It's not something that's handled voucher by voucher. It's statewide. This is what we're paying.
On unit, or is it the same?
I'm sorry, you cut out at the first part of your question or comment.
What is the cap for the stand-on unit, the 32-inch stand-on that we're going to be having out, or is that the same as the sit down?
It's the same. All ride-on or stand-on mowers are 12,500, I believe. And
okay. That was the only questions I had as of right now. So.
Great. Thank you, Carson. Okay, I'm going to try to go back to Cesar again. Cesar, I've unmuted your mic. If you're still there, you can ask for a question. Please state your name and affiliation.
if they're in the Spanish translation channel, it might be coming through on that side. And then we would need the translator to come back into this audio to ask the question, but I'm not sure if that's what's going on.
So Young, I'll just note that he did end up asking his question in the Q&A, so we can.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Nicole. Okay, so we will go to the next hand and then do the email. Next person I have is Santiago Alcantar. I've unmuted your mic. Please state your name and affiliation.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Santiago Alcantara.
Yes, go ahead.
The John Deere dealership here in the Central Valley. My question is, last round with the Pro program, we had a very difficult time contacting the rebate company that issued the voucher payments. And you said you improved some of the processes. Is that something you guys improved, because we had a difficult time going and collecting funds?
It was very hard to hear that, Santiago, but I heard John Deere from the Central Valley, and you're asking about the redemption side and being, just a communication about redemptions and if there's been process improvements there. I think that was the question.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a couple of things that we're changing this round that we started implementing live when we launched last round, as we started learning what was working and what wasn't. So for example, when we issue vouchers, one thing we implemented kind of midstream last round was, instead of requiring purchasers to sign the electronic copy that they'd get via email, we changed that so they could sign the voucher request form, sitting with you at the counter, the paper form, and then you could upload that, so we wouldn't have to wait for their signature after the fact. And so we're doing the same thing kind of on the back end this round. Is that'll just be something that they sign in person, and then only the dealer will get an electronic signature. So that should decrease the time that we're waiting for a signature from the purchaser. And then another thing we're doing to decrease the time it takes to get your project through the review process and paid is we're not going to allow partial redemptions. So for example, last year, if you had a voucher request with 10 pieces of equipment on it, you could submit a redemption one at a time throughout the 12 months and get paid for those, like through until you finish the voucher request out. So one voucher could turn into 10 separate redemptions. And keep in mind, we had 6,000 vouchers last time. So exponentially more redemptions. So to decrease the amount of redemptions that we're going to be getting, we're requiring all the equipment on a voucher to be redeemed together. So kind of a note for the dealers, you might need to, strategize a little bit more about how you submit a voucher. Because if equipment's not going to be ready all together, you might want to split those into separate voucher requests instead of all onto one, because you will not be able to submit a redemption or get paid until all the equipment on that voucher is delivered. So those are a couple things we're doing to improve the workflows. And of course, staffing. We'll have more staffing this time around. I don't think a lot of people anticipated the sheer volume that we received the first year, which is a good thing. But we're more prepared and learned a lot from the first cycle. So appreciate your comments, and I hope those things help. And if you have any additional comments or suggestions, of course, we're happy to hear them.
All right.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a question via email. The question is, do dealers have to re-register or reapply? And this is from Michael Missel, no affiliation.
No, if you're already an eligible dealer, you do not need to reapply. We will be hosting a dealer information session about a week or two before the program opens. So you should get a notification of that here in the next month or so. And of course, we encourage all currently eligible and approved dealers to attend that. So you can learn about the changes to the requirements of the program. And also it's a lot more focused on the actual voucher processing center and your role in the process of voucher submittal and redemption requests. So again, that dealer information session will be coming in March. But no, you do not need to do anything or re-register. I would try to log in to the VPC. If it's been a while since you logged in, try to log in. And if you can't get logged in, work with us now ahead of time so we can help you update your password or reactivate your account if there are any issues, if you've been a little inactive and you haven't had, because there are still vouchers actually going through the system that were issued towards the tail end of last round. So definitely log into the VPC to all the dealers as we approach launch. If you need help, let us know.
Thanks, Jacob. Okay, next raised hand is Sandra Giardi. I've unmuted your mic. Please state your name and affiliation.
Hi, thanks so much for taking the call and the questions. My name is Sandra Giardi. I'm the Executive Director of the California Landscape Contractors Association. The question that I had is previously in the first iteration of this program, there was a wait list that was developed when the requests for vouchers exceeded the value of what the vouchers are that you could issue. Whatever happened to that wait list, and will those people have first priority when this new round of funding opens up?
There wasn't really a wait list kept, a very small one, and those projects were moved into the queue to be funded. So anything that we received last time had the opportunity to be funded, or it was just canceled because we didn't have the money. We didn't keep a wait list last round. That will be something different. We will be keeping a wait list this round so that if funding is exhausted, because obviously the program went through the money pretty quick last time, so we're hopeful that it will again this time, that we will keep some wait list. At some point we kind of have to draw the line in the sand. If you have $30 million of a wait list, it doesn't make sense, right? But we will keep a wait list this time, so like you're saying, Sandra, we can move projects right into the queue if projects don't get redeemed.
Thank you. My next question is, it appears that our dealers have until March 4th to make sure that they're updated and listed as dealers on the online system. Knowing that manufacturers have come out with new product and updated product in this equipment space since the first go round of funding, do we have a target date for when the catalog is going to be online and updated? Because I've noticed looking earlier today, catalogs offline because of course the funding was exhausted. But when do we anticipate having that catalog online?
Yeah, so we'll start updating the catalog as in real time as we start getting updated approvals. At this point, all the OEMs eligibilities have expired. So for the 19 or 20 OEMs that were already in the program last time, they were sent notification by CARB to fulfill the truncated equipment eligibility process. So they need to submit that by a certain date. And then as CARB works through the existing OEMs, they'll send that to CalSTART and we'll start getting those published in real time. So as they get approved within a week or so, they'll get on the website. That's why we have those deadlines in there, so that we can ensure that anything submitted before then, we will at least have a determination if they're eligible or not and get them on the website before we open. And just to clarify, people can submit after, so dealers and OEMs can submit applications at any time, even after those deadlines. We just can't guarantee that we would have them in the program when we open. It might be the week after we open, or 3 weeks, or a month. We just have to have some kind of deadline on the front end to be able to get all the work flows done leading up to launch. So any equipment as they start coming in from CARB will start getting on the website pretty efficiently in real time. So we don't have any letters yet from CARB. I think we have received some applications though, so those will start being worked through. So yeah.
No, I appreciate that, because with our members, which are landscape contractors throughout the state, a lot of them are small businesses that would qualify. That was one question we got a lot of during the last go around, and knowing that we're going to need to remind them that the inventory listing is going to change based on what is submitted to you, when it's submitted to you, so to keep checking back. But at the same time, don't dilly-dally, because we don't want the funding to run out before they get their submission in.
Yeah, and one thing, Sandra, that we've updated this round from last round was last round the purchase order had to be executed the same day as the voucher request. And I think we all realize that's a little bit of an unrealistic expectation. So what we did this year is we're allowing the purchase order or the invoicing to be executed 30 days prior to the voucher request. That way it gives dealers and purchasers time to kind of work together, get all their paperwork and like ducks in a row, and then actually the dealer can go submit the voucher request. So we're hoping that that kind of gets rid of that hurdle that we learned from the first round, where we're seeing a lot of POs with dates that didn't meet our requirements. So we're trying with this flexibility, we're hoping that decreases the back and forth between our voucher processing team and dealers with just kind of an administrative oops.
No, that's so helpful to know. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Hey. All right. We have a email question from Jalen Roca from Husqvarna. Will commercial battery-powered robotic mowers be a qualifying category for professional landscape products?
Sorry, I missed the name, but Husqvarna. They were not eligible in the first round, and we are not proposing to make them eligible in this round. But any comments or around that, we're happy to hear.
Okay. Let's go to Raul Serrato. I've unmuted your mic. Oh. Did it just disappear? Uh-oh. Sorry, let me do a search. Raul, I've unmuted your mic.
You hear me?
Yes, please state your name and affiliation and your question or comment. Thanks.
Yeah. My name is Raul Serrato with Allen's Lawn and Garden. And I have a few questions here. Some of them have been answered already. So the first one is, we have currently open applications that are going through the process. Is there anything changing on those applications?
No, there's nothing changing with those, but we would love for you to get those if you can, submitted and redeemed. Our latest ones right now expire in June, so there's not very many, but we'd like to get anything from last round obviously buttoned up. But no, these will not impact those.
Okay. All right. The next question is there more funding besides the current funding being poured into the program? Because I'm imagining this is going to run quick.
Yeah, right now we're just allocating money that was reverted from unredeemed vouchers. So there's nothing with new funding. It's just funding that's already been allocated to the program that we're reinvesting from unredeemed vouchers.
Right. I'd add to that there no new funding appropriated to the legislature for this specific project. But I'd add that there are other funding opportunities within the Moyer program with state reserve funds and Jacob, help me out, is it called lawn and garden equipment?
Well, Raul, you're in South Coast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know you work real closely with South Coast and you're part of their program, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that would be the other source, of course, and they're scrap and replace, and obviously core is not, but that would be your other option as of right now.
Okay. Lastly, what are going to be the guidelines for the implementation? Because I'm looking at the old guidelines from the previous version. I know you were accepting business cards as a proof of business. Is that changing? Is that going to be an issue now going forward?
Nothing's changing when it comes to the requirements of on that front. So everything is really very similar. The only proposed changes are the ones that we highlighted on the slide, and maybe AJ, you can go back to that slide for folks. But when it comes to the documentation required, you know, the C-27 business license, driver's license, all of that staying the same. Of course, if they submit a business card, you as a dealer have to attest that they're a small business. But I'm sure you remember and know that. So no, nothing's changing on that front. All the same requirements.
Got it. That's it for me. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Okay, we have some more email questions. This one's a series of them. I think some of these can be posted, but the person is Jennifer Donald, I'm sorry, no affiliation. First question is, can you provide the definition of microbiz?
I'll try to do my best off the top of my head, but a small business is $15 million or less over 3 years and less than 100 employees. And then a micro business is less than $2.5 million and less than 25 employees. So just a little bit less money and a little bit less employees from micro business to small business.
See, second part, does it include unlicensed handyman groups?
So core landscaping is intended for professional landscapers. So their primary business needs to be landscaping. And they would have to work through their dealer, obviously through the voucher request process, submit the required documentation so we could, substantiate that their primary business is landscaping. So no, if they're a handyman or some type of handy service.
Right. And then this is for Lauren and Amanda. Can you please, wait, what's this? Can you please provide web links to this presentation? Okay, actually, so if on that question, if it's about the recording, I think someone provided already, but the recording will be available in about 2 weeks. I feel like that question's answered, but and then is there a buyer voucher registration website? If we could post that again, please. Okay. Another email question. Nick Monter from Stotts Equipment in Escondido. What is the lead time on sellers to receive reimbursement funds once the buyer has received the goods? We have other locations that have participated in the program in the past, and they waited years to receive funds. This can be very challenging. Sorry, I'm slowing down for the interpreter. This can be very challenging for businesses to continue operate without income.
Yeah, so the payments are made directly to the dealer. So just clarifying there, they're not made to the purchaser. And then, typically it should take no more than 30 days once your redemption is approved. So if everything is submitted, all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted, purchaser names are matching, it shows the voucher amount, we have serial numbers, the equipment is eligible equipment, it shouldn't take more than 30 days for payment. And with some of the things I was mentioning earlier, hopefully you were here to hear those about kind of process improvements. We're hoping that's going to help as well. So I doubt it was years because we weren't open that long, but I do appreciate that any time that you're sitting on that capital is too long, and we want to make sure we're getting you paid. So any suggestions you have, of course, we're happy to hear them and work with you.
Okay, we had a question come in and directly to, it was this question in Spanish. Ruth, if you're available to unmute your mic, let me know if that works, but please read that question. Ruth, are you able to?
She said it will be on the English channel.
Okay.
But if there's further questions that anyone has after this, they can email the website, core@arb.ca.gov, and we can get those questions answered.
So I'm going to do a time check here. We're at 4:21. We can take a couple more, maybe one or two more hands, and then we need to adjourn. Okay, the next person I have is Tom Moffett. Tom, I've unmuted your, oh shoot. Yep, I've unmuted your mic. Please state your name and affiliation.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you. Tom Moffett, I'm the Senior Vice President for the F&A Group. Some of it has been answered, but I just want to get some clarification. Are there on your site and for the eligibility, once we go ahead and apply as a manufacturer, is pressure washing one of those categories, or is it primarily lawn and garden?
Just lawn and garden. Pressure washing equipment is not in the program.
It is not. What about generators?
No, not in the program.
No. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay. Let's see. Next one is Tyrone Bell. I've unmuted your mic. Please state your name and affiliation.
Hello, Tyrone Bell. I'm a planner at the Monterey Bay Air Resources District. I did hear you allude to the Moyer program earlier. We do have a commercial, we do participate in Moyer commercial aspect for land and garden. I was just wondering if that's stackable with your program, the core incentives.
It is not. It sounds like your program's focused on, I mean, potentially. So the answer is maybe. If your commercial, any of your commercial customers are considered small business landscaper by our definition, then yes. But if it's like a municipality or a school district or a soccer park or something like that, then no. But if it's a small business landscaper, then yes, it would be possible to stack.
Yeah, we don't differentiate in our program. Like the type of business or the size is we just have residential and commercial applicants. So presumably, I mean, we wouldn't cross-reference your requirements, but if we do ask if they have other co-funding sources. So if they declare that they're receiving a core grant, as far as you're concerned, I'll check with my Moyer folks at CARB, but as far as you're concerned, there's no conflict.
There's no conflict, but we asked the same thing, and we had worked with in the first round, we had worked with the air districts that had received that Moyer funding through CAPCOA to just kind of collaborate to make sure that we're not overpaying, of course.
Right. Yeah.
So as long as the two programs combined aren't paying for more than 100% of the cost of the equipment, we're square. But there would need to be some collaboration between the two programs. But again, we ask if they're getting co-funded, you ask, and if they say they do, then we would work that out. I will say this: no, there was no stacking out of the 20-something million last time. So
okay,
we'll see if it happens, and we'll work with you on it if it does.
Can I email that core email just to kind of hash out, like, reporting to each other, I guess?
Yeah, you can do that.
Is that a good email? The core@arb.ca.gov?
Yeah, that's CARB, and they can connect us all.
Okay,
right.
Perfect.
We'll have another contact email to it's info. We'll get that on screen for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's take
great.
one
Thank
more. Yes. Thanks, Tyra. We'll take one more question here. Gabe Fu, I've unmuted your mic. Please state your name and affiliation.
Hi, Gabe Fu with Crest Outdoor Power Equipment. Hey, Jacob, how are you?
Hey, Gabe. Doing well.
Our company had both battery tools and chargers and batteries and equipment in the program last time. We have a product called the Cyber Tank that serves two purposes. One, it's actually, it's essentially a portable power bank with fast charging. And is that included? Can that be included in the program as infrastructure? Or we're finding a lot of landscapers actually have a struggle with accessing enough power to get through the day.
I can't really answer that question right now, but I think it might be considered either just a charger if it charges batteries, and or it could be
Okay.
considered a power management device, maybe.
Yeah.
But you would just have to work with CARB through the equipment eligibility process to see if it fits into either of those two categories, or if it really is just kind of like a I don't want to say generator, but
Right.
more of a battery bank on its own, then no, we wouldn't allow that. But I would just work with, you know, Jessica and
Okay.
the manufacturer eligibility folks at CARB to see how that might fit in or not.
Okay. Thanks for the advice. Appreciate it. Hope to see you soon.
Thanks, Gabe. Young, there's a few questions in the Q&A that I probably could run through just real quick, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, Jacob.
Okay, I don't know if I
Or
froze
I
or
was
he
thinking.
froze. So David Horst had a question
Yeah.
that says, what if the equipment won't be available for sale until after the deadline? I'm not sure exactly what that means, but if it means like after the 60 days, then I wouldn't submit a voucher request.
I don't know.
Um,
I've been in meetings the whole day.
Oh. So David, if you have additional questions on that, just go ahead and feel free to email us. Ray had a question about Home Depot. Qualified dealers, battery-powered landscape equipment must be purchased through vendors such as Home Depot do not qualify. Home Depot does qualify. If they choose to become a dealer, they can. They did not choose to do that last round. We met with Home Depot a few times, and just it wasn't a good fit for them at the time, but we're hopeful that maybe something this time around they will come to the program. So Anthony, what is the best way to persuade municipalities to take advantage of CORE? Municipalities aren't eligible for CORE, unfortunately. They're not a small business, they're a public agency. So they would need to go to their local air district if they have funding there potentially. Are nonprofits eligible? The short answer is no. But I would encourage you to have them reach out to us, just in case there's some nuance there. Lisa had a question about how is CORE ensuring small businesses are not completing multiple voucher requests within multiple dealers. We have workflows and checks and balance on our side, and they can submit vouchers through multiple dealers. It doesn't really, the program doesn't prevent them from doing that. This round, there'll be no funding cap. So if they want to submit vouchers with multiple dealers, they could. There's a question in Spanish, so I'll have to skip that one, unfortunately. I'm sorry, but we can get an answer back to Fernando in writing, maybe. And I think we're almost at time. So the rest of the questions we can, put together and respond to these folks outside of the meeting. Just a couple left, but.
Thanks, Jacob. Yeah, unfortunately, my internet got cut out just there at the last minute. Apologies for the technical difficulties on this slide. You see, I'm sorry if I missed some of this, but here are the contacts. AJ, I'll throw it back to you if you want to go over this, and then we can conclude.
Yes, so any further comments or questions can be emailed to any of the contacts listed on this slide, including myself and Jessica Young and CalStart. And this concludes today's workshop. Thank you everybody for participating in today's workshop, and goodbye.